Today we got something special for you. I hope wherever you are, the weather is improving, you are getting outdoors, you're doing things. I know for me, I actually went outside rock climbing this weekend, which was awesome. But the other thing I did is I did a little more study with the robot, which I haven't really done in a while. I've been kind of avoiding it. I think studying with the robot can be very tedious. It can take you down some real dark wormholes. It can make yourself really wonder, ask yourself the question, am I even good enough to be playing this game? The robot, maybe you guys relate, but definitely for me, it can be a very dark place. But today, or not today, but I guess this week, I was sort of brave enough to venture into that world again. And I thought I would bring you 3 positions that I thought were particularly interesting, and not just interesting, but really difficult. And I'm still kind of struggling to fully understand them, at least from a robotic point of view and all the implications. But nonetheless, I thought we would talk through them today. I want to present them in problem style, so I think I'm going to just sit here and put them each up for 30 seconds to a minute. I'll put some music on in the background, let you guys think through the problem, see if you can have some answers. And then we'll talk through them each together, because these are hard. Like these are not easy problems. The first one I have here, if you're already looking up in the background, this is the easiest one by far. The other 2 are much more subtle, much more intricate, and it's a struggle. So maybe we can do some struggling together. Maybe we can gain some tiny improvement to our Go knowledge. And if not at least to our Go creative spirit, which is so important when you're getting into these complicated, group hand fighting sequences. Just finding new candidates, right, invokes that human spirit of creativity, and I think these problems can help do that. So here they are. I'm just gonna open it up and give you guys some time to just sort of meditate on each of these boards. So here's the first one. Oh, I should mention it's white to play. Sorry. All right, so hopefully you had a couple of your own ideas. Like I said, this is the easiest one. All right, let's go to number 2 and show you what that looks like. And this is also white to play. All right, let's go to the third one. I think it's probably the most difficult, but for some of you it might be just your type of sequence. Here's what the third one looks like. And this one is black to play. All right, so hopefully you had some idea what to do on each of these. Let's start talking through them and see if we can learn something together. Here's the first one. All right, so on this board, it's white to play, and we can see black's last move was actually to take this pretty giant corner here. If we're just looking at the territorial balance, we can see black already has a large corner here, is set to take a large corner here, has a little bit down here, another large corner here. So essentially we could say black has 4 corners. This corner here is a little bit undefined, but it's like 50-50, so at least 3.5 corners maybe. It's actually better than 50-50 for black to take the corner, but again, if white plays first, the corner is just not worth much. So anyway, we'll call it a 50-50 shot. If black can Atari over here or jump in like this later, then black will definitely get the corner. 3.5 corners with the territory for black. White's territory isn't very territorial. White is playing a very Moyo-based game. We can see the white has this giant wall here, and another wall here, and maybe there's territory up here, but it's a little bit undercut right now with this stone. So white, I think a lot of Q players in response to this would very naturally just block. In this case, that's almost too small of a move, I think, given the position of the board, just because if white blocks here and let's say black gets another move to reduce all the influence, you can see this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines of 3 to 4th line territory. So let's say it's about 35 to 40 points. And that's really all that white is expecting or can easily expect. White can probably chip another 5 to 10 points here. But if we even just give white 50 points rounded up, and we're looking at black and seeing 20 points here for black, another 10 to 15 here for black again, another 5 to 10 here for black, and another 10, maybe more here for black, we can see that black actually has a little bit more than that. So real difficult. And I'm not even giving any points for black on the side or this side, which is also very developable for black and really not developable for white. So we have to be very careful. So I'm trying to say the territorial balance is very much in favor of black. And when you're a Go player and you are way behind in territory, at least concrete territory, there's really 2 things you can do. Maybe there's more than that, but there's 2 that you can do. And the first of which is just to ask for something bigger. And hopefully that'll provoke a fight. And you'll if your opponent just sort of backs off and keeps his territory, maybe you can grow yours faster than your opponent can grow theirs, and you can win the game that way. The second, and perhaps most common way to achieve balance, other than asking for something bigger, is to go on the attack, is to cause a liability in your opponent that they have to respond to, which will result in them having to lose some of their own territory, or you making some extra territory or thickness or influence that isn't yet on a developed part of the board. In this case, I think it's very much the latter, where it's really hard for white to ask for anything really large here. We could look at moves like this and just try to do something on the really large scale, but I think this is a little bit too much of a dream. Black will find a way to just destroy this more, maybe a move like this, maybe try to look at defects over here, maybe even step further into white's Moyo. Again, black still has this type of move to make some shape over here. So if we ask for something really large, black might already have too many stones here as a foothold that he'll use to destroy us. So we don't really necessarily want to be so greedy we ask for something really large. So, okay, now if you're thinking, okay, well, if we have to attack this, how do we attack this? And this is sort of the million-dollar question. Clearly, we can just, eat another stone, something like this. If black extends, that's fine. We can even connect here. And maybe there's a fight down here. Maybe black can even run out. But if black is busy running this out, we're okay with that. We're going to that's probably too slow of a move, but start gaining that giant center territory by running this out. That's just a very crude sequence. But in this case, I'm not sure black will bend to your will, so to speak. Black might just say, you know what, I'm going to leave that for later. I'm just going to back off, maybe start to build a little more to the left, or even a little in the bottom, help solidify the stone over here. Maybe even just, you can diagonal, you can jump, you can play all sorts of moves. Black's going to be happy to give this one stone up, I think. We can't kill individual stones and expect to win. Can you imagine, let's say, if white wasted 2 moves to kill that, black is going to be just fine stepping further in here, or probably making shape like this. which helps also develop the left and the bottom and solidifies any sort of reduction against the giant white. So attacking one stone, not big enough. We need to think bigger. And you might say, okay, well, down here, maybe this was the wrong direction. This was too far away. This side seems like it's closer to the black group, so let's attack this side first. And if white can do something like this, let's even play that one. You know, you can start to see how these three stones really start to lose friends. However, this is the same problem. Black's probably not going to be quick to give up Sente here, and we'll run out. So what else can we do? Well, my friends, we have to attack more severely, and we have to attack this as a group. And there's really only one move that does that really effectively. Let me show you some examples that might not be as effective. You might think, okay, well, let's attack this way. And this is a little bit too defensive. It's actually not asking for quite enough. This is really a nice dream for black. Black might even exchange this first. If white runs out, black is super happy. Black actually has good choices to Atari on both sides. If white is really committed to these, black is pretty happy just to make shape in here and basically ignore your attack. So in this case, white really has to take. And if black takes this, well, you're going to play another move over here because there's these sorts of problems where white will eventually have to fill this in. And that will give time for black to get out. And what other options do we have here? If let's say we try to do something very severe from the outside. We try to surround as a whole. Well, black's just going to jump out. And you can see how it's actually kind of difficult for white to really surround this whole group, especially because of moves like this. And maybe black, it takes two moves. I don't know. There's some sequences in here for black. So trying to completely capture black isn't going to work. There's just a little bit too much space in here, especially if white is coming from this side. Black is just going to squirt out to the bottom, and white's not going to be left with really much at all. And if we ask, like I said, for something kind of defensive, like this is actually not going to be big enough, and this attack not severe enough, black will gain strength too easily from these Ataris or just jumping out. So the move we really need to find is this one. And this is a very common attack, right? The one space jump. And you're saying, but Nick, look, black will just run this way. And I say that's fine, because if black does, let's say something very simple, let's just say black jumps out. And here at this point, let's turn the robot on to show you the other possibilities. Turn the variations off, please. When white jumps here, black can jump to any of these places. Robot says attaching is the best, but if we just follow this sequence, let's playing the moves. I'll turn this off in a second. Let's say to there. You can see that black is not out of the woods yet. Black's still kind of a little bit under attack. But in the meantime, this quadrant of the center is turning white very rapidly. And meanwhile, with this stick group here, it's also reducing the white bottom. You might say, but look, black's going to make up for it over here. But in this case, because black is still weak, black has some work to do. Oops. Like we have to play all these sort of crude moves just to connect. All right, so now black's connected. But white will actually squirm around over here. And let's just try to play the most severe attacking. Oh gosh, all right, now we're into robot crazy variation land. I wanted a nice simple variation robot. Maybe there isn't one. Robot really likes this move. If we push, say defend, cut. That looks like the most severe. White's going to play all these actually really crude exchanges. and still has resources to get out, right? With, you can see this sort of cut here being quite threatening. There's also a Tetsuji here. It's kind of nice to link up in Sente. So even though this is very much black potential, it's a little bit too open. And because black is still weak here, white will be able to gain one free move at some point later on. And in exchange, white will get this thickness to help continue building this whole center right bottom area. So when you're attacking, just this one space jump is often a really nice attack on any group. You don't want to go after individual stones here. You really do need to find a way to attack it as a group. Let black, use the Aji that's there, and just stay strong and keep getting what you want. And like I said, you could play more conservative here. Let's put the robot on. The robot does indeed not like it as much. It's only a 3%. But you can see immediately black will shoulder hit here. And now white's kind of committed to building territory here. The nice thing about this other variation is that if we go forward and step through this all, let's say, okay, there's no, I'm trying to find a robot move over here that's not in this vicinity. That might not happen. This is the hot place now. Believe it or not, white's not actually fully committed here, because once we have this thickness and we have a group over here, black's potential for any more points in this board goes way down. And so we don't have to turn this into territory, because we'll have these footholds here and here to reduce these corners, or especially these sides. So we're not as one track minded if we get a little bit more strength here. Whereas if we play a little bit more passive, we have this group, we play this sort of defensive move. Now, look at this. The next black move isn't even to move this out, actually. The black likes playing this exchange first. Is just making white sort of commit to defending this territory over and over again. Do you want to defend this? Okay, good. Oh, wow. Even in this case, after this one jump, the robot's saying, you know what? I don't actually need to reduce this anymore. I can actually just go reduce the top now. This group is safe enough after this one jump. There's not enough pressure applied by these two stones. Like, this one stone is worth 2 in terms of safety, or at least flexibility for that group. So anyway, how did you guys do? Do you guys feel intuitively to come after this from this side? This is also kind of similar. Let's actually see what the robot says for this one. It's not even on the robot's radar. This is a very severe attack, but it's a little more pig-headed as well. It doesn't actually put as much pressure on black. And yeah, it's to the point where black looks like the best move here is just to dodge. And again, that really improves the strength of the black group. And black really likes having a stone here, because that faces the bottom as well as the left, and will help both of those developments later on. So, really nice point for black. Even if black doesn't find it, black can just sort of play here. And again, if you cower, again, same idea. You're overcommitting to this. This is not as big as you think. White really needs another move here and here to seal this off into territory. It's still got a lot of holes. It's hard to defend the center. You can only build in the center if you are attacking. Like, it's the only way you're ever going to get territory in the center. All right. Let's turn pondering off. Let's go to board number 2. And this was a white to play problem. And I said these were, these are 3 really hard problems. I don't think that first one was that hard. It was just a nice introduction. This one is a significantly more delicate situation. I think one that requires more tea. I think if you looked at this during that initial time, you probably got the feeling that this was the hotbed area. This was where the action is. And it's white to play. You can kind of see how white's under attack. White is definitely behind enemy lines. The last move black played was here to seal white in. And you're probably having a little bit of a poop the pants moment if you're white, trying to figure out how on earth you're going to get this group to safety or make it live. Just to look at the score or the rest of the board. In this case, white is the one who has 3 corners. We got a medium to small corner here, another medium corner here, another medium corner here. Black has this corner, but with the caveat that this stone actually can be cut off. And so in this case, black will have a choice to take the corner, or more than likely black will probably give up the outside and let white take the corner. But it totally depends on this group, right? Like everything is hinging on this. Even though this is a very big move for white to take something down here, it's black's choice for what to offer. And because it's black's choice, white wants to more than likely settle this first. White doesn't want to give black the outside and then have an even bigger problem. Or in this case, actually, if white plays down here, black might just kill this off and decide, you know what, just giving up the entire corner here is worth the life of this entire group. This is quite a large swath of the board. So I don't even think it's big enough to really ponder compared to what this is worth. So in terms of territory, we can actually see white has more. Just, again, those 3 corners, plus another half corner in potential. This side looks like it's worth something, and this black group not safe at all, so we're not really too worried about black reducing this yet, because black will get injured with this little stick group. Black really doesn't have many points. This is not much here. There's not much here. And this doesn't have an extension yet, so this is really not developable. And like I said, this corner is already half white's to take. So basically, black is banking this entire game on killing this. If black can kill this, like, it's not like all these corners for white, none of them are large. All of them are medium size or smaller, like 10 points or less. I guess maybe this one's like 12, but besides the point. Pretty medium, nothing's over 15, let's say that. Which means if black kills this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 by like 7 area, about 55 points in this region alone, not counting whatever little points black gets down here or here or here. So we can say pretty confidently, if this dies, black has a pretty clean, 70-ish points on the board, and the 3.5 corners don't match that. There's just not enough in those 3, 10 to 15 point corners. So if you've made it this far, let's direct our attention to this group and what to do about it. First, there are some sequences, as white can be like, I need to make eyes. Okay, great. How do you make eyes? Well, here's a way to make eyes. And the problem with this is this is a gote eye, because black has this sequence. So white can make an eye in gote. Where's your second eye? And you'll recognize very clearly it's not at all clear. Like, first of all, it's black to move. This is not an eye shape. This is a broken mouth shape. There's a little bit of oddity here with this stone. But again, it's black to move. So let's say black just cleans up this area. Something like this, or even just probably the outside's a little bit better. How are you going to use this stone? That's a really hard question. And it's a hard question because black has these sente moves. If you move this stone out, black just doesn't care. Like, there's a group down here that's alive for black. So, because of these exchanges. So, maybe there's some Aji here. That might be possible. I'm playing very conservatively for both players. I'm definitely not playing optimally. Let's see what it's saying very favored to black now. We're up to 60%. Let's see if we... what's the best move here? Definitely not that one. There we go. That one looks pretty good. Yeah, just sort of preventing any cut here. Preventing any eyes. Looks like white has to play this. The meters didn't budge, so that looked like a pretty good move. And didn't like my move at first, but then it kind of recovered. So probably cutting is, better. It's bad shape, but in this case, it's okay. So, all right, let's go back. So we can sort of recognize we can't give black an eye yet. Or sorry, we can't just take an eye as white yet. It gives black too much momentum. We have to find some other defects. And, you know, there's a little bit here. We have a cut here. We have a cut here. Maybe we can scrum our way out. We have a big, huge cut here. And if your first idea, if you look at the situation, is to fight with this is a good move. It's not the best move, but this fighting spirit is very good. And you can sort of see that the problem with this cut is that it's actually really hard to use immediately. What you're trying to do is short the liberties on these two groups of 2 stones. But it just doesn't quite feel like there's enough time or enough liberties taken away from black. Robot like that move. And you can kind of see that black can't really cut yet because white has this counter cut. And this gets very hard for both players, right, in terms of this fight reading. And if it gets really hard for both players, it might be just fair. Like it may not. It's cloudy, right? It's just tough fighting. So basically, let me go back a little bit. I want to like, this is the type of thing I want to aim for, right? There's a fair fight, quote-ish, a fairish fight in here, you know, with these Hanes that are really risky, but you know, if you don't really want to start a fight that's fair. You want to start a fight that's a little bit unfair. And this has everything to do with shape. And again, this cut is the key move we want to aim at, but it's about preparation. And this is the move where I said these problems are really hard, will really take a lot out of you, are really worthy of study. Like, how do you set up for this cut? What can we do that will improve the chances of this fight working out for white? And this is the magic of really strong professional Go players and the robots and everyone better than you. You know, even if you're 10Q and you're playing as 5Qs on occasion, they'll recognize the position on the board and they'll find a setup move. And that setup move will hit you like a rock to the side of the head that you don't see coming. Like, it's just like, what? And this is that kind of situation. We're going to use a setup move. And I'll give you another second to think about it, to see if you can find it. It has to do with Aji. Again, for all these types of situations, these are all about Aji, right? It's all about, you know, knowing what Aji we have available for us and what Aji we have available for our opponent. And some of you, I suspect in your original analysis, you saw, you know, these 3 black stones aren't 100% alive yet. Like, they're pretty darn close, right? They can always come back and take this. They have these Sente moves against this down here. But right now, they are technically cut, though this cut stone can't actually go anywhere. Right, we can't actually run this out. You can see it just dies. Okay, that'd be super game over, by the way. Like, the robot's just like, going, no, 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 no. Game over if you do not, if you try to use that Aji directly. The way that the robot found to use this Aji is to play here. And you can see it actually shoots the white percentage up quite a bit. We're well over 50% now. And I'm just going to let this sink in for a little bit because it's still not at all obvious how this helps in the slightest, how this move helps us cut over here. But trust me, they are connected. And we're going to, hopefully I'll be able to do some Tewari analysis, which means I'm going to flip the moves and change the order. And try to make a stone look a little bit out of place. Let's try it. So here, what would you, if white plays here, what is your instinct to play? Well, it's probably play here. Right? Cut this stone off, don't let white connect. Because this is still, you know, kind of a problem, right? Like, white can't really run this out with any expectation. Let's see, I don't even know what the next move is. You know, it's like worst case scenario. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Got to think about this just a little bit more. Yeah. Looks like we push one more time. Nope. I'm guessing a little bit here. Nope. That's to net these. Nope. Not here? No. All right. Show me the move, robot. Oh, play this way. Oh, this is a ladder. Right. Okay, never mind. Silly me. Okay, so once we have liberties here, we can just ladder these, and this is pretty game over. So again, this move by itself doesn't set up the ability to run this out. Because after here, no good. But this is the key now. Now we cut here. And this is where we get back above 54%. And you're probably thinking, okay, I believe you, but that's still some BS, right? Because like, how does giving black an extra stone here and basically giving up a stone help this cut at all? Well, it makes a big difference when black goes to cut here. And you can kind of see it because how many liberties does black have in this case? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we didn't play this exchange, black would still have 4 liberties. That doesn't change anything. But now, if white were to continue with making threats over here, this stone doesn't take away any more liberties. Right? If I actually threaten to run this stone out or connect it out, like, black's still totally cool. Like, still has 4 liberties. And so when this stone gets into a big fight against these two and or these two, this right-hand side is still relatively safer. Let's compare. Put a stone here first. This elephant eye poke. Black comes up. Now we play here. Now black plays here. And this is not the next move in the sequence. Oh, maybe it is actually. I really liked it for white. If white plays here, check this out. How many liberties does black have now? Only 3. And it's because we forced black into this weird empty triangle shape. Isn't that weird? Like, it's pretty far out. Black takes this cut to defend. White can now peep. Remember how black could be the one peeping down here? But we have a white peep. And if we look at the options now, we're not going to mess with this anymore. We're now going to come over here and take this Hane. And so this is very similar to the original situation where we just cut here, right? Where black is really hanging on to these 2 groups of 2 stones and white's trying to use the Aji here. But in this case, black has to be really defensive, right? Black just has to come back and connect them. And at this point, the robot says, okay, white is now alive. Like, white can come back and has time to make an eye because we got this Hane in. And the only reason why black has to defend this, right? Let's look at some other options. What's another? Let's say black takes this cut. Okay, first of all, the robot's like, oh man, this is madness. It says white should come here. Oh, it still says white should just live. It's not even needing this Aji, which is the amazing thing. But whenever I add stones to this group, here, all right, let's play here. Okay, here's a good move to showcase this Aji. Let's say black says you get no eyes in here. White says great. Now I can lean here. I couldn't do this before when black had extra liberties. This move didn't do anything. Black has to spend a moment to get that out, otherwise it dies. And now white can cut here. And this is just falling apart for black. Look at these shapes. We have a 3 liberty group here. We have a 3 liberty group here. It's white to move. Look at this sad empty triangle. We're going to threaten this group now. Okay, we threatened that group. We made our weakest group stronger. We're going to come back and attack here. Just keep attacking. Just keep attacking. Just keep poking. And now finally, come back here and make shape. And so you can see black, in this case, has the opportunity to capture. Like, we gave up something. But how beautiful did we get our weak group out and or ready to cut and go on the offensive. Check this cut out. And we got we can either connect or we can live, right? Our choice, or actually, I guess that's the living move. But either one. Like, we still have the choice to either connect or live, and we ended in Sente. So we gave up some groups in here, but this whole thickness is somewhat neutralized by this stone. This stone is actually really valuable now. We still have this cut to take the corner back. We actually got some thickness here for free, so why not use it to attack this group? It's beautiful for white. Beautiful sequence. And the robots and really strong players are so good at giving up these little cutting groups, right, to get the bigger side, essentially, get the bigger thing in this picture. And in this case, like, we give up so much. I think we give up 3 groups, right, to get the one thing we want. I said this whole game basically hinges on this white group here. If black can kill this, like, black's going to win. If white can make it live, really hard game for black. And so what do we have to give up? Well, we have to give up this stone. And then we're going to give up this stone, at least in this last variation. And then if black doesn't just basically back off, right, if black tries anything. Again, I think we made one more exchange here first. In our last variation. It's this exchange, you can probably do at any time. So it's probably not important. But what are we going to... If black at any point tries to go in for the dagger and kill us, we're going to give up these 2 as well. And then we're going to give up this one. And so we're going to give up 3 groups to get the one we want. Amazing. But they're all tiny. Like, they're not the biggest thing on the board. You know, it's a total of, I think it was a total of 6 stones. And we have enough points to cover that 6-point loss. Or 12-point loss if you double it for territory, Japanese rules. So, what can we learn from this? You know, go is hard. And when you're in trouble, though, you really have to squeeze every ounce of blood from the orange. Is that a saying? I don't think it is. Blood from the stone? That's closer. Really have to find every little bit of aji, so you can hand fight most effectively. If you go into a hand fight where you're just looking for cuts and looking to get what you want, and you just play it one-dimensionally, like you're just looking for one thing, your opponent has a very easy time just saying no. You have to play moves that threaten multiple things. And in this case, by playing here, and by using just a little bit of aji that the stone has left, and using it to help short the liberties on this group, man, we can make some outside magic happen and bring our group to safety. Whew, so hard. So hard. Real tough, hard-nosed Go playing. But if you've ever been wondering about, like, when really strong Go players are sitting at the board, you know, what they're thinking about things like this, right? It's looking for these little shapes. And this was a great teaching example because we forced black into making 2 empty triangles. We all know that empty triangles are bad. They're really shape inefficient. They really just short our own liberties. They don't actually gain liberties. And so if you can add some stones on the board to force your opponent to play some empty triangles during these hand fights, you're going to find that leads to some very nice results. All right, last board. This one. And this is probably the worst one in terms of confusion and difficulty and just Go insanity. Like, man, this is just a type of position that I screw up in my games all the time. And it's a hard position. Like, this is not easy Go, but this is the type of move that I don't deal with personally well. And so when I find these sequences in games or reviewing things with the robot, like, I don't know, it makes me feel dumb. It just, like, Go is infinite. I am finite. I'll never be good at this game. I'll actually never know what I'm truly doing on this board. This is that kind of situation. So first, let's break down the overall board position. This is a 4-corner game for black right now. Like, black is showing 4 corners. How fun is that? There is a little bit of tiny territory, maybe for white on the top, but realistically, white is banking on this giant bottom, right? This 10th line bottom of territory. And, you know, if white gets it all, there's 50 points of territory there, easily. Maybe a little bit more, actually, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, if white gets it all, it's more like 60 points plus Comey. Like, white's over 70 points. And as good and solid our 4 corners are, it's actually hard to get to 75 points from 4 corners. Like, that's 4, 17-point corners. Just about. So, or a little bit more. Making 4 17-point corners is pretty unrealistic, especially when black plays moves like this up here. Just to show you what I'm talking about, like, there's a defect. Let me just pass with moves like this, right? Black can't block here. So, you know, this is a pretty small corner in that top left, is what I'm trying to say. Furthermore, the upper right corner totally unresolved. The bottom right corner is actually pretty solid. There's a little bit of AG on that point, but for the most part, not really. And the left-hand corner is okay, but not. There's reductions here, right? There's a cut, there's a push. Not completely solid either. So, yeah, as black, what do you want to do? Well, number one, we have the stick problem. We can't really afford to let black take all, or to let white take all this. But at the same time, we can't allow ourselves to get attacked here either. We have to find a way to make sure that this never allows white to profit from it in any sort of severe way. Meanwhile, you know, if we can, you know, maybe cut off 3 stones or break in here, or run the group out, you know, this no longer becomes, you know, 50, 60 points of territory. And so we're really looking for some way to keep this strong and reduce this even gain from it, like even capture something in here. Whew, that's a tough ask. And, you know, if you guys are looking at weaknesses here, you might think, okay, well, maybe we make an exchange here. And I don't know, maybe, you know, Tanuki maybe just take some more profit, right? Black can play here. And this actually kind of puts white in a little bit of a bind. There is this problem. This cut, I think black would probably poke here first. Is probably how it would go. But you can see that, you know, there's Aji here in both directions. Maybe black cuts here. That cut might not work. Here, robot, come to the rescue. Show us what the... Yeah, just cut here. And cut here. And yeah, crawl. And you can see these were rapidly losing this group of stones. White will profit a little bit on this side, but basically black's going to capture the whole bottom and just destroy all this. Okay. So let's go back. So we can see that hanging on to this is a little bit too much. Instead, white will play here. And black says, thank you, I will take these. And maybe, or in this case, probably this way. Yeah. And now white will have Sente again to go do something. So black can take these and make this into a legit 20-point plus corner. Like, this is an option. But the problem is now white's bottom is even more solid, and white has Sente to continue on with the game. Not. I mean, it's here. Let's. Oh, sorry. Let's play out this sequence again. If we just, I'm gonna ignore that exchange for now. Play here. Cut. Atari connect. Oh, sorry, I played the wrong move. That's why I'm all confused. No. Play here, play here, play here. Okay. If we're looking at this position, we're looking at a almost 56% for white here. And you can see that the next most interesting moves are all around here attacking this stick. And, you know, if this stick has to run, we get to solidify this for free. So not good enough, not good enough. Just taking more points is to white's advantage. We can ask with this poke first. Like, this is a legitimate move. But in this case, well, robot says here, so we're going to ignore that for now. Let's look for the local follow-up. The robot says none of these local follow-ups are very good. The best one is actually just to come back and try taking these one more time. And so very similar to the original. We do leave white with a defect, so it's a little bit better for black to poke here first and then take, but it's not the best. So here, from here you can already, I think you guys can see what we want to do, or at least what the robot wants us to do, is for black to run this out. Let's put that off. And running this out is hard. This is really ill-advised. Like, this is when I'm teaching students and there's a group on the board, especially that's close, that you are worrying about, like that isn't quite alive and can be attacked, and you're going to create voluntarily a second group, weak group, that needs to run and connect somewhere. This is like the dumbest thing you can do in Go. Right? And this is why this position is so hard and so counterintuitive. You do not want to give your opponent two things to attack, where your opponent can just split them and then kill the bigger one whenever they want. But that's exactly what the robot wants to do here. And indeed, its plan for this group is a sacrifice. And I can hear the collective sound of all of you hitting your foreheads right now. It's from all across the internet. Like, we're going to create a bigger group to sacrifice. So it's like we're feeding white. We're force feeding white more points. Do you feel like sweaty palms? Like, this is not right. So let's say white just keeps everything strong. You can continue here. And first of all, how does this black group look? How many of you want to play here? Well, what's the plan going to be? I ask you. Like, where are you going to run with this? That's great. Like, maybe? But what happened to your stick? Like, you now just gave white a 40 to 50 point side over here. And you'll be like, but hey, I can gain 40 or 50 points over here. Yeah, not as big as this one. Right? And we still have annoying moves for white to make over here. So, like, if this turns into an exchange where white, number one, gets to keep the bottom for the most part, maybe like black is still take 3 off this, and so, you know, a good chunk of the bottom, and white gains a whole new, even bigger territory, and what black gets is to, you know, save these stones. These stones don't die, and we get to kill some. Like, this is not small. This is easily 20 points that we gained here. Is it worth all this? And probably not. Although, actually, there's this move. So I didn't quite factor this out. White probably needs to play a move like this at some point to guarantee the kill. But I think even white has time in this case, right? Like, we can do that and expect a result. All right, so creating a weak group, really bad idea. And here, however, the move for black is not to just run out. And this is where the sacrifice comes in. I'm going to turn on the robot and show you the move. Oh, come on, go. It's to play this Hane. And at this point, white has two choices, sort of this natural one. Looks like this. And black will actually still run out here. But there is this weakness. I hate this variation kind of thing. Wow. Yeah, even in this case, when white continues the attack, robot says, oh, what did I do wrong? Something happened wrong. White here. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't play that yet. Yes. If white blocks here or white cuts here, at that point black needs to Tanuki. And this is and in this case, this is the particularly like mind-blowing one where white plays the most severe move possible and black just immediately gives up and goes back to taking the 3 stones down here for an advantage. Mind-blowing. Here, but let's show you this one first. This one's probably a little bit more natural. At least for probably most people's level. On this channel, or watching this channel. If we now poke our head in, there are defects, namely this Atari and this cut. And now white needs to connect here, and now we can run this out. And the difference is pretty huge, because we can see that if black ever gets enough liberties, we can actually force a capturing race down here. Meanwhile, there's actually lots of Aji around these 3 stones. These 3 stones only have 2 liberties. They're not going to die yet, but man, is it bad Aji. And we still haven't actually given up this push yet, right? We still have an Atari here, or push through Atari and cut. So there's just a lot of defects in here. And so here, let's play out the robot sequence. In this case, white is going to actually kill off this group. But check out what we got on the outside. Remember our stick problem? By actually adding stones to our group, we actually got a Panuki on the outside to help our weak stick in Sente. And furthermore, there's still Aji in here. We still have actually 3 liberties. And so there's still this little group here, it's not entirely over. It's settled in the sense that this is white territory. But if at any point we get an extra move and can jump in here, we start threatening a lot more things. So the follow-ups are very large. And now after all this, because we have Sente, we can come back and take this. And oh wow, hold on. I don't know what this move is about. What the hell? This is crazy. Oh my gosh. This sets up a double ladder? Right, it's not as excited. It started off like 90%. So what's the counter to this? So when the robot first saw this move, it was like 90% because there's a ladder from this. And if you see this Atari here and then Atari here, you can ladder this group. There's actually a double ladder. That's amazing. But it looks like because it brought it back down to 60 that white has a partial counter. Yeah, this cut. Does it work? This is crazy. Has to take. Atari has to fill. Atari has to take. Pull out. You can't die. Atari has to live. Or, yeah, both players are fighting over a base down here. Yeah, and this has a million liberties because anything on this group is Atari. So white can't cut here. Wow, just connect. And just win the capturing race? Does this win? What a capturing race. I don't know who wins this. It says Tanuki. Oh my gosh. So look at the stick group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 liberties. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like white still wins, but white will no longer get the points here in the corner. All right, so it might be. It's so hard though. Oh wait, what? But what? Yeah, white can't even pull this back. White has to connect because the stick has might have a liberty problem once white all these get filled in. This is I'm scared, guys. All right, so in this case, it actually now says white has all the good times. So black just needs to leave that Aji for later and still maintain a winning position. All right, sorry, that was quite a derailment sidetrack, but this move, very cool move, super cool move, because of this Aji that we left here. All right, so I didn't see that before. Glad I got to show you that. So what should happen here? Man, it's, yeah, like white. Yeah, it's still bad. It's still, I guess this Aji isn't that bad, right? Because in the end, white can persevere. Did we miss a better move at some point? One was the point of Tanuki. Man, it still says all this is good for black. Okay, I think we played everything correctly. Okay. All right, anyway, back on track. By back on track, it's still so hard. So confusing. So the intent here is to get more liberties for this group, to create weaknesses, so we can essentially take this in Sente. And that's the real difference here. If we go back to this, whoops, let's play this one where we don't extend anything here. Black takes this, white defends. Here it's now white's move, it's white Sente. And that makes a huge difference. All right, but we're going to give up some extra stones. Create a little bit extra weakness. And because there's this weakness, all right, well, also we didn't show you this variation. Let's say the strongest variation is just for white to cut and start immediately eliminating the liberties. Black comes back to take this. This is really interesting. Before, when black descended, the best move for white was to connect here. But it looks like that's no longer the case. Yeah, in this case, it just says white needs an extra move to actually finish attacking, finish this off. So what happens now if white attacks here instead? Because this is the original position, right? Before, if we don't make this group bigger, if we don't give up extra stones, and we just take this, white continues the attack with this move. And the robot said that was good for white. But in this case, it no longer says that. It says because we got this move in, and white played the most severe counter, we have extra Aji to work with. So this attack no longer nearly as severe. Because we know that white is kind of committed to killing these off. Oh man, yeah, look at this. If it goes like this stick group, again, no problem. Like, no problem. And so in this case, all of black's problems are gone. We gave up two extra stones, but we got to kill this off in Sente, and we still got to make our stick stronger. It's like magic. It's like magic, guys. It's so far above my pay grade. I'm not capable of doing this magic on any sort of regular basis. Amazing, right? So here, let's go back to the original position. See what we can extrapolate from this. I don't know. Like, again, this goes so much in counter to the idea that, you know, if you have a weak group you're worrying about, don't make another weak group. But, man, forcing your opponent... I mean, I guess it's kind of like the adage when your opponent's about to capture a stone, even if that one stone's going to die, give it more liberties, so your opponent has to play more moves to capture it. I think this is that principle, but it's so hard to spot that in the middle of the board, because this could go wrong so quickly without some really accurate reading. But we play this move so we can capture these three in Sente. Like, that's the conclusion. Isn't that whacked? It's just whacked. And it's stressful. Oh, man. So the problem when you start studying robot games or studying and looking for moves like this level, what you're going to find happen to you is you're going to start being too creative in your games. You're going to start looking for things that aren't there. You're going to start reading out sequences that don't actually work the way you think they do. And that's fine. That's all part of growing at Go. But I don't want to discourage you from finding sort of these crazy moves or going against the adages and the sayings and the proverbs. You know, if you just got to sense weaknesses on the board. And even if you can't read all the variations out, if you know a move gives your opponent a harder time, try to play it. The moves that always pain me the most to see Q players play are ones where they remove possibilities from the board. Because whenever you define a position, whenever you calcify something, let's say you capture that one stone, or you play that move that just pokes in once, and then your opponent blocks, and there's nothing left. You just took your 1 point of endgame, and there's nothing left there now. You've calcified that position. It makes the game so much easier for your opponent. It's like insurance almost. It's like you're gonna like in those situations, you're going to let your opponent pay you 1 point, so that your opponent can have no disasters go wrong. But I'm here to tell you, keep the possibility of disaster for your opponent, that is, always alive. Like, we're human. We're going to make mistakes sometimes. Even if it doesn't work out perfectly, you'll be hard pressed to find an opponent who won't make a mistake in a game during a hand fighting sequence like this. And so this type of move, this is like anti-insurance, right? This is not letting your opponent like it's where you're paying a point here, right? You're sort of giving your opponent an extra point to threaten a bigger disaster. That's not the side you usually want to be on. Usually, whenever your opponent is paying you a point to prevent a disaster, that's going to make a much easier game for your opponent. So, I don't know if that analogy quite made sense to anyone other than me in my own head, but hopefully it did. So, Mazel Tov. I don't know how to end this video. Like, again, doing these robot analyses are just, number one, exhausting and scary, and like, I just have to make animal vocal sounds. I guess here's what I want you to do. If you made it this far in the video, congratulations. Let me know if you think I should do more like this in the comments. This might be a good video from it. I might need to I might just back it off and find some easier positions with more obvious answers. Instead of trying to show you guys the types of things that humor me during my study of the game. So yeah, with that sort of tired, exhausted note, happy going. Thanks for watching.